red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing. When the red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing. When the red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing along.
The Robin Pod is powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre. Make them your first and only choice for a vast array of vehicle services. They are reputable East Hull-based car specialists and dedicated to providing quality services at reasonable prices. And don't forget, they are trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. Find them at 146 Leeds Road and ask them about the exclusive discount they offer Hull KR Rovers Forever members. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Robin Pod Weekly. It's another seismic edition because not only are we talking about the Challenge Cup final appearance, we're also talking about the Robins playing in Las Vegas. Anyone watching on YouTube, I'm sure you'll appreciate the background. Joe looks more like he's in, I don't know, a bit of a dungeon. But no, it's great to have Joe Appleyard back on the Robin Pod. It's been a while. And of course, there's lots and lots to talk about. Last week, we talked about I was overrunning on the Robin Pod. I expect this, Joe, to be another long one because there's so much to talk about. A Challenge Cup final victory, a trip to Las Vegas, and a small matter of Huddersfield Giants up next on Saturday. Let's start, though, with a big news over today and what's dropped. The Robins are playing in Las Vegas. Joe, you've been watching the Robins for a long time, from a baby to a teenager to a half man. Tell me about what it means to you to be in Las Vegas, to be watching the Robins.
Yeah, great to be back on the pod, mate. Always a pleasure. It's crazy, isn't it? It's one of them moments where I was sat at work this morning and I was looking at a few of the videos that NRL have been putting on, and I was like, oh my God, this is happening. Like, we spoke, didn't we, before we came on? We've just got to a Challenge Cup final and it's not even at the top of the running order for this show. It's crazy. But do you know what? Fair play to Paul Lakin, Craig Franklin, the Tom and Kieran and the rest of the media team there, because they have put in a lot of work to get Hull Kingston Rovers to Las Vegas. And the fact that next year on the 28th of Feb at the Allegiant Stadium, we're going to be playing Leeds Rhinos, before the Cowboys, the St George. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. There's 10 of us going. We're all booked on, and you know me with my flag. I've had that RWC, still his wonderful flag, since 2013. My first game that I took it to was London away in 2014 at the Barnet in front of 1,000 fans. I get to go and sit outside with my mates and get a photo outside the Vegas sign. Absolutely mental, but what a great decision it is from Rovers to apply to get into the final few teams that were going to be chosen, and then for them in Leeds, perfect choice. It's going to do wonders for our brand identity. It's still a bit of time away. We've got a lot of priorities before that, but the flights have been booked. Everyone's getting ready. We're staying in the Flamingo next to Caesar's Palace, and we're going to watch Rovers in Las Vegas. It's absolutely mental. I don't think until I fly from Heathrow on that Wednesday, and then when I'm in Fremont Street on the Thursday, when Rovers are walking out with all the other NRL teams and Leeds, it'll actually hit me. But yeah, it's going to be great. And you know what? Of course, we want to go and win over there and stuff like that. But the bigger picture is Rovers are on a mega worldwide stage now, and I just can't get over it, mate. It's just brilliant. I think it's brilliant for Super League. I'm really excited that we're playing Leeds as well. I know a few people hinted at like maybe a Hull derby or playing a St Helens or something, but I do think Rovers and Leeds really complement each other. Two proud Yorkshire sides, being a bit of a White Rose derby, and there's going to be plenty of fans going over. And yeah, let's show them what Super League's all about, and let's put on a show. Still plenty of months to go before then, and obviously we've got some big important games coming up. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And me and the rest of the lads are absolutely buzzing, as are you, who's going, Chris, and as all the other people who have spoke to already. It's going to be great. East Hull and Leeds in Vegas. What can go wrong?
Well, great. What can go wrong?
That's why I left it on there for you. You've got to answer that. I do the nicey stuff.
I tell you what, though, I think there's a lot of praise must go to the off-field staff who made this happen. Paul Lakin, I mean, he's been such a cavalier, hasn't he? The way he's come in and spearheaded the club when at a time when Neil Hudgell was pretty much wanting to walk away. But Lakin's come in, he's galvanised the club, he's brought in this board along with Neil Hudgell in terms of bringing in people who are, masters of their industry. And they're underwriting this, aren't they? I think Paul Lakin said, and if anybody's listened to the Radio Homicide interview that Lakin did, at best they're trying to break even. So it's important as well, because I think a lot of ticket revenue, Paul Lakin and the club, you need to buy the tickets if you go into the game through the official sources, because that money goes back into the club. But what I want to say is, Joe, Sewell, MKM, Lakin, Neil Hudgell, the rest of the board, they've brought on an increased level of professionalism that we've not seen for a long time. And this is the rewards. This is where it's took us to. That being a bit bold and being a bit doing something different. But I do think Paul Lakin deserves a great amount of credit for what he's done in terms of how he's galvanised the club, done something different, brought people on, just spearheaded it all at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, as we're recording this, I haven't listened to it yet, but I've noticed Rovers have put on YouTube the second Rob Chadwick podcast, and it's Craig Franklin, and he's going in depth about Vegas, and a few of my mates have just listened to it then and said it's really interesting. So looking forward to listening to that. But yeah, back to Paul Lakin and everybody. When me and you started this podcast just after COVID, we're still doing a little bit better, weren't we, under Tony Smith, and we managed to get to the semi that year in the COVID hit season of 21. But if anyone had told me what was going to happen over the 3-4 years, and yes, I know we still haven't got that trophy. We're very close, and we'll speak about the final after this. But look, everything else, we can't ask for anything more than what Rovers are doing. The fact that what they've done with Craven Street, the money they're putting in the academy, what they're doing to Craven Park, on field, the players they've signed, the buzz around the merchandise, the fans, every single thing. Craven Park being sold out every week. They've got to 2 major finals. Now they're in a 3rd major final. Then they're going to Vegas next year. You cannot do much more. And I think sometimes in sport, until you're out of these little plethoras of riding these highs and being at the top of your game, you don't really appreciate it. But like you said, and same as me, we've been going a long, long time, 25 years, me, nearly 26. And I don't take these moments for granted. And the fact that I'm going to be able to go to Wembley again in a few weeks with a family, then go to Vegas with my best mates next year. It's special because we'll put a lot of money into this club, but so have the people who have come on board. Mentioned a few names there, James McNichol as well. He's been great for the club. But yeah, mate, honestly, it's going to be a dream come true for a lot of fans. And yeah, full credit goes to the board. And the thing is, mate, I think we're just getting started.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy as well is, can you imagine, so 10 years ago, you'd have been playing, Rovers would have been playing, obviously in Super League, would have been playing Wakefield, blah, blah, blah. And then you go elevators, let alone going 20 years back, 30 years back to the 90s. And the fact that now we're playing...
Chris, sorry, eight years ago was in the 2nd tier when Salford relegated, as everyone thought it was the end of Hull Kingston Rovers and the beginning of Salford. Skip forward 8 years, 2 clubs couldn't be in different positions.
And now we're playing in the entertainment capital of the world.
Absolutely. It's, again, we speak about even 20 years ago before we got into Super League, etc. But the fact that the club went down in 2017, and I know it sounds like a banging the same boring drum, best thing that ever happened to them, but it was in a way, because even a few years after that, we were still rubbish, bottom of the league, blah, blah, blah. Then middle eights was kind of like you could build, it didn't really matter what division you was in, did it, until it got to the playoff side of it. But now, we're a force to be reckoned with, and a lot of people don't like it. We've slowly become one of probably the most talked about team and the most hated team. But you only do that from doing good things, and you'll never win with certain fans. And I'm not even aiming that at FC fans, it's the rest of the league as well. They don't like seeing other teams do well. And that's what I think thrives the board, thrives the players, thrives the fans. The fact that we are a bit of a new kid on the block, especially in the Super League era, and it does look like we're going to be here to stay. And I think hopefully if we get that trophy hoodo off our back, this can just be the beginning. But it comes down to everyone, mate, from Neil Ujul to Lakin to Sewell, McNichol, Willie Peters, everybody involved. And then, like I said, the media team who've done all the videos and the promos. Craig Franklin, who I know was in Vegas this year and doing a bit of networking, etc. Everyone involved who's put a lot of time and effort in, you know, they're finally reaping the rewards. And I think it shows the ambition to give up a Super League game against Leeds when you've got 12,000 there at Craven Park. So don't get me wrong, you've mentioned the link and stuff like that, but it's costing Rovers a bit. But it's the position we're in. You don't really, you know, what is it? You don't make an omelette without breaking eggs. You've got to do a bit to get back at you. And
I think what's important with that as well is the club have recognised about, of course, we're giving up a home game, and there's lots of advantages to that in terms of what we can do in the stadium in Las Vegas. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people in East Hull who simply will not be able to afford to go to that game. But to alleviate that, the proposed price increase in season passes is now not going to happen. So the price of the season passes are going to go back to what it was, I think, 2023. So I think the club are, you know, trying to do as much as they can to alleviate the point that some people will not be able to go, and then respect the fact that we have lost a home game. But if this club really wants to grow, these are the opportunities we need to grasp, and not just grasp, embrace, Joe.
Oh, mate, what was it? 3.1 billion interactions on the Wigan Warrington and the other NRL games this year in Vegas. And that's gone from interactions on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the viewers across the world, Vegas, everything like that. You cannot turn that down. They're saying it's worth 200 years of marketing and brand strategy. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. We're missing a game in H-Unan, and I am not coming on here and saying, showing off, going, I'm going, because, you know, I'm not made of money myself. We're both working class East Hull lads, Chris, and there's a lot of people who can't go. And unfortunately, sometimes that does happen, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. And I just think as a community, even if you're not going, I know for a fact they're going to do a few events. Craig Franklin said it in that video my mate put in the WhatsApp group again. I haven't listened to it yet, but we're all going to chip in. And even if you're at the Allegiant Stadium, you're watching at home or wherever you are, everyone's still involved. This is us growing Hull KR, and this is taking a club that in 97 nearly was vanished from the face of the earth, going to go to probably the most famous city in the world for entertainment, you know, and go and play rugby league there, which was absolutely mental. Again, 8 years ago, when, no disrespect, we was at Mount Pleasant and the Foxes Biscuit Stadium on a Sunday afternoon in front of a few thousand people. So these opportunities, it'll never happen again. Rovers will probably never, ever go to Las Vegas again. I will probably never go to Las Vegas again, and you will, or whatever. And the fact we get to go there and embrace what it's all about, the gambling, the shows, everything that's about the city. But then we also get to watch Hull Kingston Rovers and Leeds Rhinos playing a Super League game. So it's an absolute win-win. Amazing. It won't be the last time we speak about it. It's just getting started. We've got about 9 months to go, haven't we, already? Excitement's building, and, you know, I, for one, mate, I think it's just going to be a trip of a lifetime, and just can't wait to get over there and hopefully be going with a few trophies under our belt, fingers crossed. But yeah, let's, you know, many people as they can. Obviously, it's going to cost a few bob. We know that, but let's be honest, it's never going to happen again.
Well, I tell you what, Joe, you sold it to me now. I'm glad I'm going.
To be fair, like I said, a few of my mates work in the media team. They've just transferred me a few quid to spread the word.
Mate, but it's something that don't need selling, does it? Because the spectacle, the occasion, it is everything that. What's interesting about is in this country at the moment, though, we're talking about NRL investment. We don't know what the future is. What Rovers are doing is just ploughing on, just trying to get themselves there, like whatever the future holds in terms of rugby league in our country, NRL investment. You've got to be at the top table, and this is one of the events what Rovers can do. Because not only that, no doubt when Rovers are in Las Vegas, they will be having conversations with potential sponsors, the NRL, important people in terms of the world game. And you've got to be there, aren't you? You've just got to be there. And I think that's why the Robins and the board of directors have underwritten this, because it's such an important opportunity just to speak to people and explore and just be in the forefront of people's minds, let alone the potential for signing players as well.
Well, that's the thing. It's networking, isn't it? And we go over there and we get to watch, Cowboys, St George, Newcastle, the Bulldogs. It's that as well. We're putting ourselves in the likes of Matt Burton and 𝗀𝗲𝗄𝗃, Stephen Crichton are going to be on the same pitch as you, Mikey Lewis's and your Jez Littons and your Ryan Halls and Jake Connors. And from a Leeds perspective as well, it's crazy when you think about it. And even when it started a few years back, never thought that Super League was going to be there. And now we've got the chance, and Rovers are going to be at the forefront of it, and it's just outstanding. But yeah, you'd be very daft to think we're just going to go over there and play a game of rugby. It's everything that's included. There'll be media. There'll be, obviously, there's the big event at Fremont Street, which is going to be unbelievable, which I can't wait to go to. You've got the fact that players are going to, even like NRL players, I know it sounds daft, but you're going to get a few thousand Rovers fans there, and they're going to wear the atmosphere. What happens? Because I don't think there's an atmosphere like Hull KR in Super League, especially even in Rugby League, because the NRL's known for more attendance-wise, not really noise-wise. But yeah, well, look, we get to go over there and put ourselves on the world stage, and we've all got a job to do, haven't we? It's going to be fantastic. And I just think, again, it's one of them things, until you keep repeating it, until Hull KR are playing in Las Vegas, you're probably going to pinch yourself until you land at McLaren Airport, whatever it's called. But yeah, the opportunity cannot be missed. And, this Super League thing's going to go on for a few years. And I think we're very lucky, because I don't think every team will get to go. And it's going to be an experience and a half.
Yeah, I must admit, though, Joe, I spoke to him, but I'm disappointed I didn't do a bus there.
I'd see what you'd put on Facebook. I think, to be fair, he'd probably still leave Tigers Lair at 4:00 and make it on time.
Yeah, and make sure you put your bottles in the bin bags.
For Jason Neverton's testimonial sound program, doing that on the way.
Yeah, but no, honestly, it's going to be a fantastic occasion. The Robins, like we said, have done so well to get that game there. Let alone the fact that all the eyes are going to be on the NRL. Let alone the little old Robins being there. The Battle of Yorkshire, as it's been coined. I suppose, Joe, when you look at the opposition, there's not. After Wigan, Warrington, potentially Saints, that lot, Leeds Rhinos is the obvious fit for this game.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. St Helens, they've got bigger things to sort out, aren't they, at the minute? They're a bit of a mess of a club, and I think they've already openly said, we will go to Vegas when Vegas want us. There wasn't 100% fussed about going this year. People like FC, Wakey, Lee, even Huddersfield have thrown the names into the hat, but I think in the here and now, you can't have Wigan and Warrington. Rovers are a dead set. You could have even argued Rovers could have gone last year and had a repeat of the grand final, but maybe it was a year too soon for us. We needed to get a few things in order and make it, don't rush into these things. We want to do it properly. And yeah, I'm really happy it's Leeds, because I think they'll take a few thousand as well. Wouldn't have liked to have done a derby over there. I think it'd have taken away the charm, and I don't think it'd have worked having two Hull clubs over there. Personally, I wouldn't have liked to do it with Hull FC. Whereas I think with Leeds, it'll be a good atmosphere. It'll be a good game. Obviously, it's next season, so we don't know who's going to be playing for who. It could be a completely different Leeds Rhinos lineup. Rovers could be coming off as Challenge Cup winners. They've been in the grand final. Leeds could have. It's hard to say. It's a bit like the World Club Challenge, isn't it? You know who's going to be in there, but you don't know what the teams are going to be like, because it's a new season. But even still, mate, I think it's going to be a great Yorkshire derby. And yeah, hopefully it's a brilliant game, and the previews and all the reaction and updates and tickets sold. It'll be exciting over the next few months. And yeah, let's just get saving and put your life savings on number 22. And when it comes in, thank me and come buy me a beer.
I tell you what, mate, I've been to Vegas before, and you can make it as expensive or as cheap as you want.
Yeah.
Don't go. If you go to Vegas, not every restaurant's a la carte. You can go to McDonald's, and the best thing about Vegas as well is in between the casinos, you can go to the supermarket, get a beer, walk around with it,
Yeah,
and
is it? And
you
if
allow
it's in like a metal cup that the
yeah,
gear
as long as
does
it's in a
that.
metal cup or plastic cup, you know, as long as it's not glass, you can walk around and you can have a drink, you can have a boot, you can literally, once you get there, it's as cheap as you want it to be. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, there's a big outlet, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people, don't get me wrong, who are living in Greatfield, Sutton Trust, this is a million miles away from what they can ever afford. But in terms of the evolution of the Robins and making us being able to present opportunities for supporters, and we need to do this. And the club will do certain things to make it accessible in terms of showing the game in East Holland. But yeah, it's just something that needs to happen. But if you can get there because it's going to be a great opportunity. It's like you said, Joe, it's probably once in a lifetime.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And like I said, I know from that Craig Franklin video, I know I keep mentioning it, I haven't read all the details yet, but there is going to be like a Hull KR pub and it's 20% off for Rovers fans and stuff. Craig's announced that to Chadders, so I'm going to have a listen to it after I've done this, but definitely people will probably know it when they're listening to this because they'll probably listen to that before the 𝗲𝗂𝗏 does babble on. But yeah, so there is stuff for fans while you're over there, and the Fremont Street's 100% on the Thursday night, and there's going to be like a designated area. I think it's the Rock Shore or something. It's the same bar as what Wigan fans were allocated this year. So that'll be great. Everyone can be there and you get a bit more discount on your food and drink. And obviously it'll be good for everyone to get to see each other in North America.
Yeah, definitely. Joe, it's crazy, isn't it? We're talking
what
about...
What else have we done this week?
Well, let me take us back to Saturday and York Monk's Cross Retail Park and a little Challenge Cup semi-final against the Catalan Dragons. The Robins are on the way to Wembley once again.
They are. See, that's the thing now. For me, I've booked Vegas. So excited, but for me, the focus is just on that game.
Well, you've got a part Vegas, haven't you? You've got
to, mate. You've booked it. It's amazing, so exciting. But we have got this season to focus on. We're top of the league. We're in a Challenge Cup final. Sorry, technically everything's still on for a treble, if you want to call it. I'm not saying we're going to go do that, but at the minute we're right up there. And yeah, another dominant performance. And it was just a typical KR game that we've seen. We don't play amazing to start off with, but we're totally in control. Even when Catalan scored them 2 back-to-back tries, I wasn't worried. We get in front just before the break. Second half comes out. Catalan look like they've done a 12-hour shift on King George Dock. Rovers look like they've just got out of bed and they've had a 12-hour sleep. We're just fitter than most teams. And when people say we're boring to watch, if pinning teams into the corner, defending like your life depends on it, being efficient in attack and scoring worldy tries like Joe Bear just did at the end, well, I'll watch Hull KR being boring every single day, mate. You know, they're very methodical in the way they approach games. It doesn't matter if we're playing Huddersfield or Salford, who are bottom of the league, or we're playing in a semi-final or a massive derby or against Wigan. We play the same, and I love the way we play. Dominant, really good. Atmosphere was good as well. Obviously, there was a lot of different fans in each stand, so it was hard to get a proper sing-song going. But yeah, it was a weird atmosphere with no proper opposition fans. But Rovers did the job. They was very professional. Catalan's got under our skin a bit, and we just made them to work, and they couldn't compete with us, can they? Like a lot of teams can't this year. Well, majority.
No, I think when you boil it down, the Catalan had that 5-minute spell, didn't they? Where they took the lead in the first half, and there was good value for it. But ultimately, their scores were on the back of the Robins' errors.
Yeah, Petter's been amazing, Annie, but he did get a bit wrong-footed, and rightly, it was a great try from Remy Smith, and we'd made an error before that, and then the Carey try. I mean, I'll hold my hand up, and I don't think James Batchelor's second was a try, but how they can give a no try for Carey's when there's about 4 men stood within 10, and then he says Jared knocks the ball on when his arms weren't even around it, and they give a try and overturn it after 7.5 minutes. It baffles me. But like you said, that they put us under the cosh for 5 minutes. We have these little brain farts, don't we, a little bit, but what we can do is, in the past, would have bent over and conceded 20. Now, we just go and turn the screw back again. You know, the Leeds away game, we're losing with 8 minutes to go. We go and score 3 tries. This team never wants to lose, and they'll never die for each other. And that second half just was clinical. And I've listened to a few Journo podcasts and even BBC Sport people just saying that second half performance, wow. Completion was up there with the best. Hardly any errors apart from at the end when the game was done and dusted. But it's the level of fitness in it, Chris. And we can defend, and then we'll just get the ball. We'll do all 4 drives. We might not put a move on, and it is a little bit boring. But Mikey or Tyrone will do a pinpoint kick, let the wingers catch it. We'll defend for 5. You come out and try and get past us now. They love defending, and that's what I've always wanted Hull KR to do. For years, we've grown up and seen Rovers great in attack, in spells, but very poor in defence. Whereas now, they love not having the ball, and that is the side of it. That's the sign of a team who can go on and be in these big games. And yeah, Rovers are at Wembley against Warrington Wolves, and going to be an absolute cracker. We thought it nearly was a repeat of the 2023 one, but we've got a different opposition, the same side. We lost the 1905 Challenge Cup final to. I sound like Steve Till there, don't I? Who's going to be on soon. But yeah, excited for it. We've got 3 Super League games before that, but for the semi-final was just a brilliant atmosphere. Wasn't as dramatic as the 2015 game against Warrington at Leeds or Brad Schneider getting a drop goal, but God, it's nice with 15 minutes to go knowing you're at Wembley.
No, I tell you what, Matt Newsom, who's a BBC commentator,
Yes.
for the BBC, he messaged me. I've been in dialogue with him. He's been on the podcast before. He said, "How do you feel after that?" I said, "Do you know what? Not jubilation, but like a job done." And as a commentator, he said, "Yeah, I can feel that. It wasn't raw emotion at the end of the game. It was, people celebrated, but it wasn't relief. It was almost like we've done the job. We're going to go on to the next one." And I think it's interesting that people in the media picking up that. Joe, did you go to Tenerife?
I went to Tenerife in 2020. I went in Willie's first season, didn't I?
Yeah. So, do you know what? Because we talk about the Rovers being so fit. Like, people will be like, well, why can't every team do this? Did you get any insight into why they're so fit? Like, what they're doing then? Because then training camps are so important. Paul Lakin has already talked about the Amsterdam Challenge potentially might be at risk because depending on where we finish the end of the season and if we're in the grand final. But why do you think them training camps are so important?
Oh, they've just made. I mean, this was obviously Willie's first season, so I think he was. Things will have changed, and I mean, I haven't been to the last 2, but yeah, they're just so important, and they do 2 or 3 sessions a day. Work on the wrestle. They do game scenarios. He's very methodical in the way he trains. He trains like the play. There's no dilly-dallying about, and yeah, them camps. What they can do 3 sessions a day outside in England in December and January when they go, you're lucky to get 1 because it's iced over or it's chucking it down. But I knew from the start, and I've still got the text to my mum and dad when I met Willie Peters in October 22 for the first time, and I said, I don't know what this bloke will do for Rovers. I said, but he will leave it in a much better place. I said he knows what he's on about, and you got proved right. He's changed this club from top to bottom. He is the heart of it, isn't he? And that's from the training in pre-season, the players he signs, being a part of the board as like being the coach under this new regime. It's down to him, and it's down to the strength and con. He always praises Dan Ramsden, and there's Callum Christopher who's joined back after a few years elsewhere as well. So they deserve a lot of praise, and I think it's also the right recruitment. You've got players who can train 3 times a day. You've got players like Dean Adley, like 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏, who can do 70, 80 minutes in the middle and still look fresh next week. Gone are the days where you have to play people and then go, right, we'll play him this week. Say like a Terry Campese who should play him this week, but he can't play next week. Gone are the days of that. You get the right people in, everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, and that is, you start with us, you get your ass whipped at training, but then come March, April, May, you're the fittest team in Super League by a country mile, and that's probably down to everybody for chipping in as well. But yeah, them pre-season camps, mate. I remember when I went on, the only one that I went on, and it was about 8 in the morning, and there was running up the hill. It was just as the sun was coming up, and they'd been in the sea with Tommy Coylan, etc. at 5 in the morning, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad that I was just pushing a pen and not back in there boots.
Yeah. But what I tell you what, Joe, what Willie Peters and the rest of the coaching staff are really good at is making it enjoyable. Although it's hard work, but what they've done is foster that team spirit where they're all in it. And that's not just the coaches, bringing people in like Warren Hargreaves, Elliot Minchella's so integral to that now. They've got good people who are able to pull other players up. And if you're not up to that level, you know, you're out, you know, and that's part of that team culture, that what ultimately leads us to the Challenge Cup semi-final victory over Catalan, where we are scoring tries in the last 10 minutes when Catalan look gassed, but because it's all that hard work that goes on 3, 4, 5 months before.
It is, and you mentioned about the right people, and look, Willie's in his third season now. I think he made a point to Steady at Humberside after the game about, you know, you've been in these big games before, and he was like, yeah, but I think there's 5 or 6 players from that Wembley defeat to Lee who are still in the side, and I know a lot of them players have retired, like your Kenny Dowells and your Kane Lannett's and that, but majority haven't. You know, it's took time for him, and there's been people who he signed and got rid of, and he's just worked it magic, and he's kind of built this team now where you know what the 17 is going to be every week, even if there's an injury or two, and it's very NRL. Nothing changes. We go around our business. We win big games. You know, we beat Hull FC away twice. Didn't make a massive deal of it. It was kind of like, yeah, job done. We move on. We've beat Catalan in a semi-final, and like you said, it was more of a nice one. We've done that job now because we needed to. I'm no under illusion. I will back this team on social media, which you see, and I will back them in real life because I know how good they are. But then I also understand that we are good. We need to be in major finals all the time. Being in a semi isn't good enough anymore. And that is the difference because, God, I'd rather be like this than being in the day going, God, I can't believe we're in a semi-final. Great day out, even if we don't win. Whereas now it's, no, we go to Catalan, we go beat them in York, and then we go to Warrington. And it's not a case of, nice one, we're going to Wembley. It's a day out. It's, no, we've got to go and win a trophy now. And that's why I think we're cut from a different cloth because I know Willie Peters will not, you know, sleep until he's delivered what he needs to deliver. And I believe he's very, very close. And I do believe it'll come in 4 weeks, fingers crossed. But yeah, it's all stemmed from bringing him in a few years back and getting his right team, getting the right board, getting the right fans, everything you want to say, everything's aligned now. And that's why it's majority games are getting a bit easy sometimes, which is brilliant to see. And when we get to these major finals, now it's not a case of, oh my God, we're at Wembley. It's a nice one. We're at Wembley. Let's go do a job.
Yeah, and one player who's certainly doing a job is Jack Broadbent. He's been brought into the side. He's played a multitude of positions. And you know what? It sounds really daft. I watched the game back when I got home the next day, and I saw Jack Broadbent running into it was a kick return, and the aggression he showed to run. Not just he didn't go sidestep anyone. He went straight and hard for whoever was. I think it was on the second row. I'm trying to think, but he ran straight and hard. And the point was his aggression, his willingness to run hard, and he's then also got the ability to show the skill in terms of an offload or read the game in terms of when to make the sidestep. He can play. He deserves a lot of praise at the moment because he's a player who's not got a nailed down position, but you can't not play him in the side at the moment.
No, I think I'll go on to him personally in a minute, but we're going to speak about Gildart's injury news soon. He has nailed down a position because apart from that cup final when he's going to have to play fullback, he is centre every day of the week for me moving forward. And even next year, he's got a shout. He's outstanding, isn't he? And again, we got him on a swap deal and people were going, oh, it's just like a bit of a two-bit player. From
it was Coriol. Was it Coriol and
yeah, Coriol and Lewis Senior went. Yeah. And then Coriol joined Wakefield in last year. We got him then, and then he's ended up playing in a grand final. And albeit last season he had his moments, but he didn't really, you know, he was still a bit had that probably Castleford player in him where he wasn't embedded fully as a Rovers, full 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Pre-season. He is one of them players who have just taken it to the next level, and he is a 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 KR player in 2025 where it doesn't matter where he plays, you know he's going to give 110% and is a fan's favourite. He can slot in on the wing. He scored 2 tries against Leeds on the wing. He scored tries in the centre. He's ripping it up at full-back, and he'll go back to centre on Saturday against Huddersfield when 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 comes back in, and he'll probably do a job again. And look, he's one of them who probably not pinches himself, because that's me disrespecting him, but you've gone from starting pre-season at Cass last year or bottom of league, and then you've gone to sign for Rovers, and you're one of the first names on the team sheet now. It's crazy what a move can do for certain people, and he's only young, but God, he's part of the furniture long term, because he's so important. And what I love about him is, again, you mentioned that the play that summed him up for me is when Makinson was running 100 mile an hour at him, he stayed composed, did a bit of a pirouette, skimmed past 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 goes back in the momentum swing, and then I think we ended up getting a penalty, and it was led to Mikey's try from 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. So yeah, he's just outstanding. Well, they all are. There's loads of players we could spend all night, Chris, couldn't we? Bill Leyland and Jack Brown, what they're doing off the bench at the minute with Sam Luckley and 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, they're absolutely keeping the momentum. Dean Adley, I'm lost for words. He never fails to amaze me. Minnie's up in his game. He's had a bit of a rocky start, but he's getting better every week and kind of leading from the front again. And then the usual people who we talk about, Jez, Petter, Mikey, just outstanding. And yeah, need to continue it now, because again, they know the job's not done, and that's the beauty of it. It's not a case of get in, we've won the Wembley, we're going to put on all Instagram, blah, blah, blah. It's no, we're at Wembley, we've got another job to do. We'll focus on Huddersfield and we'll deal with the Challenge Cup when we have to deal with it. And that's just such a good mentality to have.
Yeah, I tell you what, Joe, as well, some players have maybe people question Tyrone May. I think the semi-final, he's definitely showed exactly what he's about. You know, he's defense. I think he came up probably with the biggest hit of the game when he took. I think it was it Cottage?
Yeah, Nick Kotrick won. It was the shot on him.
He absolutely smashed him. But Tyrone May, like, I think it needs putting to bed now what he does for the team.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll hold my hand up, Chris. I think I've been on this pod last season and I questioned him. And you know what? Now there's rumours that he's leaving, and there's people who were apparently rumoured to be getting, like, or interested in, don't want him to go. He does so much for this team, and yeah, he might look like he don't give a toss. And there's some times where he's running 1 mile an hour, but then what did he do when he was running 1 mile an hour? He flicks it out to Mikey, he gives it to 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and then we go and score. He's just fitted in. And do you know what? When people say he doesn't look bothered, you see him on the pitch and at the end of the game, and when he's singing Red, Red Robin, he's bothered. It's just the type of person he is. You need that. You've got your Mikeys who are so energetic and they'll steal the limelight wherever they go, and the Jareds of the world. But then you've got the Tyrone who's watching anime or whatever he's obsessed with 2 minutes before kickoff, and then he'll go and put a clinic on. They just suit each other. And yeah, I know there's been talks today, I think series about rugby league. Spoke to Paul Aiken and they said they're still in talks. It's not confirmed yet. There is a chance that he could stay. Personally, I do think he'll go home, but I think at the minute we just enjoy it, and he's just attacking sometimes is a little bit off. What you cannot question is defence, and I think again on the big stage at Wembley, having a half-back as your third man inside from the wing who can defend like he can be a bit of a game difference. But obviously we'll speak about that at later dates. But yeah, Tyrone getting better all the time, and him and Mikey just complement each other.
Yeah, Joe, big question. Is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 the best centre in Super League right now?
Done, lad. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is done. Yeah, he's up there, isn't he, mate? I think him and 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, 100% top 2 centres. I think Wardle's probably defensively better, but attack, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, his step, everything about him, the way he attacks, his toughness has been spoken about this week. Yeah, he's just fantastic. Who thought he was fullback last season? That's the only thing I'll question.
Well, I tell you what, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, he's got that ghost in just offload. Tom Davis really could have had 2 tries against York, couldn't he? Because we saw the Kotrick knock on, and then we saw the play at the end of the first half.
The tap downs, yeah.
You know,
he's great at lining a man up as well, isn't he? When he can get 2-on-1 and just flick it out. And yeah, you know he's going to step, you know he's going to run into you and do that little shimmy, but stopping it's another, another thing, isn't it? And again, Tom Davies, Joe Burgess. I mean, we'll probably speak about Matty Ashton's injury in a minute, maybe, because obviously they've confirmed Warrington that he's out for the season. I know we're on about 𝗀𝗂𝗃𝗏 here, but at the minute, if it keeps on going, Burgess and Davies are in for an Ashes shout, easy, because they are on fire.
Yeah, well, Burgess, do you know what, to be fair, he had a quiet game until he came up with them 2 tries at the end. But when we talk about the fitness, the play for them moments, that is the whole point of the fitness, isn't it? So when they get them ice moments, that's when you come up with it. And I think that's why Burgess came into his own. Burgess is sometimes a player where you don't see a lot of him, but when it counts, he really makes a difference. And I think we saw that against Catalan. Like, he iced the game.
Everything he does is effective. I understand sometimes, yeah, he might not take a carry, but what he can do is like that catch when there was 3 of them around him and he just caught it in the air, and it's like, how's he done that? Or he'll make a break and make 20 metres and get us on the front foot, or he'll go and score in the corner, or he'll do a funny interview at half-time. Everything he does, he's got his eyes on him, because he's one of them people who you just don't know what you're going to get for him. And he's a bit of a character, isn't he? And that's what I love about him. Whereas Davies is the more efficient. He'll do your leg drives. He'll make you the 100 and 150 metres, and he'll always take a carry out of backset field. Whereas Burgess, every time he gets the ball, you know he could go 100 metres. He's got that X factor. And yet they really complement each other. And I think, again, you're looking at, if you're Sean Wayne and you're missing maybe Matty Ashton for the rest of the year, if Burgess carries on his form, and Davies as well, but for me, probably Budgie more, they're definitely worthy of an England call-up to be in and around that squad.
Yeah, and I suppose just to mention, so some players who have come into their own, I think Tanganoa coming off the bench made a huge impact. And Brown, Leyland, even luckily, they're not the star names, are they? But they're the players who are coming on and making a difference at certain points of the game.
Oh, yeah, outstanding. Luckily, his offload game. Jack Brown doesn't make as many metres. We know that. He's not tall. He's not massive as a prop forward. What Brownie does for you is he wins the ruck, and Jez and Leyland and Mikey can get off the back of that. Brownie is never going to carry and go for 30 metres, but he'll be efficient. And the same as Jared, he'll get an offload away. He'll win you a penalty because he's niggly on the floor. And yeah, doing really well. For me, I think Jar Whitbread's one of the best players of the season so far. He is being outstanding, and again goes under the radar. People like Batchelor, Dean Adley, every single person, mate. We're top of the league and in a major final in mid-May. Every single player's doing a job at the minute. And yeah, you're without Gildart, you're without Reece Martin and Mickey McIlroy, 3 massive, massive players. But everyone's still stepping in, and it's not a case of, we've got injuries. It's the case of, yeah, we have, but it's a squad game, next man up. A kid from London who did his ACL last year and has never played a Super League game has come in and will probably play in his hometown in 4 weeks' time in front of 70, 80,000 people in a final, because he's ready, and he's kind of, Willie's brought a player in like that who he believes can kind of took the mantle from the Jez Litton and Matt Parcell partnership. Leyland's got a long way to go, and he's only playing limited minutes, so I'm not getting carried away, but he's looking really good. And yeah, Brownie, and luckily you know what you're going to get from him. And yeah, just really, really positive signs, mate, and I just hope we can keep this form going. I hope we can go injury-free until the final. We've picked up a lot of injuries this season, a few major ones, but a lot of minor ones as well. But we've kind of got 3 tough weeks: Huddersfield, Warrington in the Wembley Curtain Raiser next week, and St Helens. And yeah, let's keep it up, because yeah, we've got Wembley, but we've also got a league leaders to be going for as well. So we can't keep our eyes off just all. We've got to keep our eyes on all 3 prizes, this year, which is great.
I tell you what, Joe, there's been a lot of noise reaching Challenge Cup final, let alone the fact that the Robins are heading to Vegas. There's a small matter of playing Huddersfield on Saturday, and I think this is a different Huddersfield side that we came up against previously. The players who were injured are now back. Don't get me wrong, yes, they beat that lot, but there was a lot of mitigating circumstances in terms of why they did win that game. And for me, it's still not a game that we should fear. But do you reckon, Joe, this is the opportunity where, if you look ahead to the fact we've got to play Warrington and St Helens, if we did want to rest any players, or we did want to give somebody an opportunity, this is the game to do it? Because, I don't know, I don't feel personally Warrington and St Helens is the opportunity to do it, but maybe Huddersfield on Saturday is?
No, I can't see it. I mean, I understand, but it's a league game. Look, they've had 7 days off. We're only halfway through a season. It's tough, innit, because you want everyone to be fit. But I do think Willie's learnt from his mistake. Probably maybe a mistake if he wants to call it that. Playing all the kids against Wigan the week before Leigh in 2023, and I don't think he'll rest anyone. I think a real funny thing today, I think in the presser as well, they said, "Oh, is it true you've given him a week off after the semi?" And they just and he went, "No, we had 1 day off." It doesn't matter to him. You've got to be part of it, and everyone will be fit, and everyone's raring to play. I think he'll go unchanged. I really do. Sorry, barring like Morgan, Broadbent moving positions, maybe Brownie might not play, and I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, once the 21 comes out, but we know roughly in and around who's going to be. But yeah, minimal changes because obviously Morgan will come back in, and it might just be someone from the bench who drops out. Maybe Leyland, and he might play someone on the bench. I don't know. But for me, no. You don't rest anyone. Keep this momentum going. We've got Warrington away, which again we want to kind of lay a marker down. And even if we go and win next week at the Halliwell Jones, it don't mean we're going to go and win at Wembley. It's a completely different scenario. But yeah, let's keep this momentum going because Wigan have got a few tough games. They'll be gunning for the league leaders as well, and I don't think we can afford to kind of take teams lightly. Although saying that, I understand it's a Huddersfield team that's got a bit more personnel back, but that Hull game, even though it was great seeing them beat Hull, God, it was an awful game, and I do think we can put them to the cleaners. I don't think they can't keep up with the speed of Rovers, mate. I think people like Tom Burgess and stuff have kind of passed the prime, and they've had Tom Deakins left them this week, so they're a little bit short of hooker in the hooking role options at the minute. And yeah, it's going to be a tough ask for them on Saturday, but it's going to be great to be back at Craven Park. About 4 or 5 weeks, God, since I think it was the Wigan game, wasn't it? The last game at Craven Park. So it's nice to be back with unbeaten since that defeat to Wigan, and yeah, I believe it'll continue on Saturday, and hopefully it'll be a great atmosphere. Everyone's in the party mood. Everyone's going to London. Everyone's going to Vegas. But yeah, we go to Craven Park on Saturday, and it's another great chance to kind of just prove our mettle and get through it unscathed. Be methodical in attack, punish them in defence, and the result should become quite comfortably in my eyes.
Yeah, we've got a little more chat about Huddersfield. Of course, we've got all your questions to answer in question time. Before then, though, Steve Till's got Robin revisited. Steve, of course, the Robins take on Huddersfield at Craven Park on Saturday. What have you got for us this week?
Well, I'm looking back to 2012, the days of Craig Sandercock, and a win we had at their ground, the John Smith Stadium, a big win. It was played on a Monday night as well, June 2012, and Rovers won convincingly, 26-44, the biggest win that they've had on that ground in the Super League era until this year when we did them back in March. But it was a good Rovers team. Dobbo was in his element, although Blake Green was missing. Craig Hall played standoff. And there were players like Benny Galea and in fact, Scott Taylor played in that game for Rovers. And Josh Hodgson. It was a match. Rovers had won the last 3 games and Huddersfield had lost, I think, 4 out of their last 5. But they had Kevin Brown back as captain. Anyway, it was Dobbo was in his element on that night. He ruled the roost despite the absence of Blake Green. The Fartowners, they actually, no, we scored first. Hodgson scored first, but they hit back. They had Danny Brough and El Crabtree and Leroy Cudjoe back. And in fact, after Hodgson had scored a double converted try, Huddersfield hit back, and by the 23rd minute, they were in front by 12 points to 6. However, it was Rovers that went in at half time. 𝗕𝘂𝗋𝗴𝗀𝗀 𝗀𝐻𝑆 crossed to give Rovers an 18-12 lead at half time. And you'd imagine that Huddersfield would want to get the first try in the bank in the second half, but it was Rovers on their first attack who got the first try of the half when 𝗪𝗂𝗋𝗴𝗀 ran a superb line from a really good Dobson pass to grab that. That was Rovers' fourth try, and he followed up the conversion with a penalty, and that almost put the win for Rovers beyond doubt, but it wasn't. But that was left to Hodgson. Hodgson scored his second try, and then Craig Hall set Dobbo up for his second with a 60-metre run, and it was Hall himself who scored the last try, Rovers' seventh try. The game was refereed by, here's a name for you, 𝗬𝗂𝗄𝗧 𝗪𝗚, the French. He was a regular at that time. But it was a good win for Rovers. However, as I say, it was the fourth on the trot, but then they failed the next week. But it was a great win for the fans in the 5,000 crowd. I would imagine a good 500 of those would have travelled over on the Monday night from East Hull. So, as I say, best win until March when we put the 50 past them. And let's hope for another show like that again.
I tell you what, Joe, 𝗬𝗂𝗋𝗴𝗀, what a referee he was. That's a blast from the past, isn't it?
It is 𝗬𝗂𝗋𝗴𝗀. I remember his bald head. I remember him. I can't remember who he outpaced. I'm sure it was at a Catalans game. And
well, he was always in the line, wasn't he?
It was always in the line. And someone did a full-length try, and he beat them. I think it was maybe like a Scott Donald or something for Leeds. It was going way back, but yeah, he was an all right ref. Him, I think he's still doing Elite One. Maybe I read it a few years back, but yeah, there was a few. There was more characters then, weren't there, back in the day, them refs, and he was certainly up there. And I remember the game, obviously we've been in on Monday night as well. Haven't been a bit of a happy hunting ground at it, the John Smiths, up until recently for the Robins. But yeah, we'll get them at Craven Park on Saturday. Another unusual time. We don't really have many Saturday tea time kickoffs, but we're in front of the Sky cameras at 5:15.
Yeah, of course. Sky love Hull Kingston Rovers coming to. I tell you what, on a hot night, as much as Huddersfield might be improving in terms of bringing players back, you look at it and you've got to go home bank, aren't you? Because as much as you can make an argument for Huddersfield in terms of who they've got coming back, look at where they are in the table. A laboured victory over that lot. Rovers running red hot. The one thing is that these players want to play every single game. They are running red hot. You only have to look at some of the breaks that Michael Lewis is making, the pace, the willingness to run, the defensive efforts. For me, Joe, I can only see one victor on Saturday night. And I think we're at the point now where that's not arrogant. It's just that is where we're at. We should be beating Huddersfield. If Huddersfield beat us on Saturday, we must be way off to lose that game.
There's an argument if you play at 40%, we'll still beat them, and that is again not being arrogant. And people look at it and think you've won a few games, you're in a few finals, you think you're Billy Big Bollocks. Yeah, we are. We're top of the league, and in a final, like we put some respect on Rovers' name. They're at the minute currently the best team statistically in Super League, and that's not a joke and not a lie. It's, I mean, the -24 on a few bookies, mate. I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what it could be. You know what I mean? If we get a roll on, and I just think, again, fitness-wise, I mean, when we played them at their place, I know they missed a few. They've obviously welcomed back, like the Adam Swifts of the world and Adam Clunes. Tom Burgess is back, Oliver Wilson, etc. But, God, we absolutely dismantled them. And I think it's just our structure and the pace. I don't think they'll be able to cope. And attacking-wise, to beat Rovers, I think you've got to be a bit structured, like Wigan are a little bit. You know, they've proven that even though they have got the off the cuff, like what Bevan French did to us in Jarfield, when they play at structure and they get at the free man out the back, it can work against Rovers. Whereas you've got to do it at pace and be clinical. It don't just be a given 4 points, especially the way we love to defend. Whereas Huddersfield, I just think they give it to Clune or the Flanagans or Lollahea or whoever's in the halves or Ashton Golding. They kind of just look and pass it wherever, don't they? I don't think there's much cohesion. I do honestly believe if Liam Knight wouldn't have been sent off for Hull, they'd have put a bit about him in the back end of that game at Magic. I think FC would have beat him. It was just kind of one of them weird Magic weekend games where the big underdog picks up 2 points to say. But yeah, it's one of them. Craven Park, Huddersfield will probably bring over about 17 fans at a push, so they won't be backed by many supporters. And yeah, we don't lose many at Craven Park, do we? And I'd be baffled. Honestly, I'd put myself on the line here. I just can't see it. I think -24 could be a bit of a given as well if we get a roll on. We know what we can do, and we'll have a lot of energy from last week, and everyone will be buzzing to get back home. The players love playing at Craven Park. It's been a very long 5 weeks on the road, successful, but yeah, very long and great to be back in HU9. And let's put on a bit of a show and move on up the ladder.
Which leads us to question time. Right, over on X, Paul Nelson, he says, I know it's early, but I'm already nervited for the Challenge Cup final. How are you both feeling? Confident? Question mark.
I'm confident. Yeah, I mean, the thing is at the minute, mate, it's so tough to predict what Warrington's team's going to look like, because if you're being honest, George Williams and Danny Walker shouldn't play. But, you know, them cup finals, the jabbing up, the conspiracy theories throughout the week, they'll be named in the 21 and they'll probably play. I don't know what Rovers' team's going to look like. We don't know what Warrington's team's going to look like. We know Matty Ashton's picked up an ACL today. They've got a lot of injuries. They've got Wakey and Cass before us as well, and with us in between. I'm confident. I really am. But ask me the day before or on Wembley Way, and I'll probably give you another answer. But Rovers will go into it massive favourites, and we know what the talking points will be and where the key areas will be. We've just got to turn up and do a job. I do say, though, I hope our pack should and will have too much for them on that big pitch. And now the fact Matty Ashton's out there, a strike player's gone for Warrington, does put a bit more banker into the Robins. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, that leads me to the next one. Michael Matthews on X, he says, at Magic and in the semi-final, Micah ran with the ball when for me a better option was to pass to Mini and 𝗀𝗃𝗃. Does Mikey need to go for the pass as opposed to Glory at times? We've seen it a couple of times, haven't we, where he's probably just made the wrong option. Of course, Minicelli has given barrels both times for not making that pass. But he breaks the line so often at the moment, Joe.
He does, and there's always going to be chances. Don't get me wrong. It did seem a little bit greedy, but I do put myself in his position and the type of player he is, and this is why we all love him. He wants to score. The 2 times he did it, we was 14-0 up against Salford at Magic Weekend, and we was 24 points clear in a semi-final, and he wanted to score again, didn't he? I honestly think if he did that in a final with 1 minute to go, he would pass it. I just think it was he wanted to steal the show. Sometimes it don't pay off, but that's why he's a player, because people love to hate him, and people don't like him, but people love watching him because he'll go for that and he wants to be the star of the show, and he is.
The other thing as well, Joe, is he's bulked up that much where he probably backs himself. If you look at him as a player, his thighs, his upper body strength, he's so strong. Why wouldn't he want to try and back himself?
Well, you look at some of the tries he scored this season, and that he darts in from 5-10 metres out. It takes 3 or 4 players to stop him now. I've never a transformation from when I know he was a baby, when he made his debut in 2019 against Wigan. But the way he's progressed in 6 years, physically, speed, strength, even his balance, his defensive work, he's an outstanding player. We all know that, and everyone's waxed lyrical about him. We don't need to, but yeah. Physically wise, God, he's up there, isn't he? He's like a stocky hooker, but with pace to burn. You're muted, Chris.
One of your former colleagues, Joe, he ran an article during the week about Rovers just a few players away from an injury crisis. In terms of, I mean, every side's just a few players away, aren't you, when you key positions. Of course, Oliver Gildart injury doesn't help. The fact that Reece Martin's out, Mickey McIlaurin's missing, the fact that Artem Org's cup tied. You know, we are, if in these next few weeks, if we cop injuries in some of these key positions, it changes the side massively. But the only thing I thought is, well, that like any other side, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think, look, I've been in that position where you have to write stories like that. I understand where Matt's coming from. He said it on the podcast as well that they do, and you've got to agree with him. Look, let's not kid ourselves. If Bachelor goes down, and you're thinking, who the hell do you put in centre? 𝗀𝗃𝗏𝗏 Johno? Do you know what I mean? I think a crisis is a word that is a bit of a buzzword in it to use, but I understand we've got to get through it unscathed, and I hope we do. And it does change it. But then you also look now from a Warrington point of view, and at the minute, they haven't got their sixth playing the captain, their nine. Their best player for me is Matty Ashton, and he's not playing now. They're going to have to shuffle. You're going to have to put maybe young Aaron Lindop in, or Ratchford and King, move them about. So there is crises all over if you want to look at it like that. But I think it's so tough. I think it was just a story. I don't think people should get too het up on it. But yeah, I think at the minute, with 3 rounds to go until Wembley, it's hard to go, God, we can't get injuries, because if it happens, it happens. We have to deal with it. We pray it doesn't. But it's rugby league, it's a contact sport. But that is the same for Warrington. They are a Dufty or Paul Vaughan away from having a very, very depleted squad, aren't they? Do you know, something like that. You can flip it on its head and say it for every single team. We just go and do our business, next man up. But I do hope, for the sake of Ulkingston Rovers' chances in that cup, that the likes of Bachelor and them key positions are all A-OK and in London.
Hey, let's not forget as well, Matty Ashton. I think we already mentioned it. What a big
yeah, exactly, mate. Like I said, just Matty Ashton, who's, for me, arguably their best player. I understand you could go a Williams or Sneed or Paul Vaughan, but I think what Matty Ashton would do on Wembley with his pace, the way he comes into the attacking line, his flair on the wing, the way they shift it to him constantly, that has changed Warrington's game plan. Doesn't mean the next man up might not do a job, but you're Sam Burgess now. You're thinking, God, I ain't got my quickest winger, someone who can do a business, and I think he plays on the left. So for me now, Davis and Hicko on that right, it opens up a big gap to maybe attack down there. But again, we'll speak about that when the time comes. We've got them next week as well, haven't we? So we'll focus on Warrington when it comes.
Yeah, over on Facebook, Gary Lee, of course, he's been on the podcast for a couple of times now. Great addition to the Robin Pod. Saturday showed how professional this Robin squad is, with 0 penalties except for the one from the kickoff. I believe we're the most professional and intimidating team in Super League. Do you agree? Do you agree, Joe?
Absolutely. Look, I think you can. We know what Steve McNamara said. We don't really need to give it airtime because it's nothing to do with us as such. But as a neutral, I've watched that game back. I've tried to be as neutral as possible, and I know people go, "You won't, you haven't." But I don't think it was a game where you look back and go, "Should have give a pen there. Should have give a 6 again there." It had a very final feel to it where you let a bit go. I mean, the 2 video ref decisions were appalling. I think the video refs were to blame, not really Kendall in the middle. I thought he had an all right game. I think Catalan slowed the whip down.
I think Kendall gets a lot of criticism. I don't mind him as a. I think
I honestly think
him and Liam Moore are good referees. I think.
Yeah, well, I thought Aaron Moore in the Warrington League game was fantastic, and he actually speaks to them. I like the fact that they'll come over and go, "Look, we've given it a no trial. Don't worry, you're not going to get sent off." Instead of this quiet and being this big man and going, "No, go away. You don't talk to me." Like, just speak to the players normal. Like, we know you're in charge. They can have bad games. Don't get me wrong, these refs, but it's nice and refreshing when they do have good games. But I understand Steve Mack's anger because you look at it and whenever as a team had no penalties, but Rovers don't really concede many penalties, and that's not just at Craven Park, that's away from home as well. Then big games against St Helens and Leeds on the road, we don't pick up many.
Yeah, but my frustration with what Steve McNamara said was, well, we didn't get any penalties, and he couldn't give any examples of where They should have done. He just said,
Yeah.
"Look, during the game of rugby league, we should have had penalties." But what? But when I watch you back, Joe, and I'm the same. There was no clear and obvious ones where you go, Rovers were offside.
No.
Rovers were disciplined. That second half was a masterclass in defence in terms of line defence, speed, just playing the game at a really high, intense level, but doing it within. And if you do that consistently, the referees start.
The refs get
you
to
as well.
know. The refs know. Yeah, 100%. And it's just, you can go for football, can't you? You can say, we didn't have a shot on target. We should have had a shot on target. Well, everyone does. But then you go, well, the defence was really good. Do you know what I mean? You can, if you're talking about other sports like that, I think he was a bit annoyed, wasn't he? And he wears his heart on his sleeve. But again, like you said, there was no examples he could give. And I don't think we got that many. It was kind of a free-flowing game. Ruck was a bit slow at times. But yeah, I don't think... I think to go back to his point, we are very disciplined and we are very methodical in our defensive approach.
Yeah, and it's no accident.
No, not at all.
It's trained, it's drilled in.
Yeah, it's meant to be. It's what they do. They go to do it, and they don't make no secret of it. It's not a tactic they're hiding.
Yeah. And last one, Baz, probably from his luxury lorry. He says, simple question. How good does it feel to be a Robin right now, Chris and Joe?
Amazing. Amazing. It's great. Like I said, I'm 28 this year. I haven't seen many highs. These last 3 years have been a joy on and off the field. Just getting started. Again, it's brilliant. We're on top of the world. Vegas, Wembley. Let's go win that trophy, hoodoo. And let's go this time next year when we're in Vegas, we can go and be Challenge Cup winners and hopefully grand final winners, etc. We're so close. We're 99% there to being the complete package. They just need to get that 1% in 4 weeks' time. Yeah. But yeah, brilliant to be a Robin. Great to just be it's just nice, isn't it, to go and enjoy your rugby and have these different expectations. And you do get used to it. I go into like Saturday's game and I'm excited, of course I am, but it's kind of like we go, yeah, we'll win, we'll get the job done, and we move on. It's not a case of, yes, we've won, we're amazing, blah, blah, blah. Until the job's finished and the trophy's won, we haven't done anything yet. And that's what I love about this team. They say it every week. Yeah, we've beat Hull or we've beat Leeds away or we're in the Challenge Cup final. Don't mean anything. We've still got a massive job to do. But it's great to be a Robin. And exciting times ahead. And we've got... but it is getting a bit expensive, isn't it? Gone are the days where you just go to Magic Weekend on the bus. Now we're bloody going everywhere. We'll be playing in Australia, Abu Dhabi, anywhere. This Robins team, God knows what's up next, because they seem to baffle me every year with these big announcements. But I don't think you can get bigger than Wembley, Old Trafford and Vegas in the space of 14 months.
Oh, Joe, I was playing Las Vegas before I even finished playing Challenge Cup final.
I know, it was kind of the rumours were going around, weren't they? And I was like, do I book it? I've literally just bought an house, and I'm like, got to set up all my council tax, all the crap that you have to do when you're living on your own as an adult and you want to be back at your mum and dad's, and then the bloody announce Vegas. But
I tell you what, and Paul Aiken alluded to the facts as well. Not only are we playing Challenge Cup final, we're playing in Las Vegas. We've got Coldplay coming.
Exactly. You forget, mate, that's the thing. You've got like Coldplay playing at Craven Park. I'm not going to them gigs. They're not really my cup of tea as a band, but God, they're massive. Like, and that's next month, innit? Is it June, July?
June, July, yeah.
July, which is so many things that they're doing, and it's kind of like, God, yeah, like Coldplay playing at Craven Park is probably the third big thing to be happening in the next few weeks. Imagine saying that when Coldplay got announced.
Exactly. And they're also playing in the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas as well, so there's great synergy between the two sides. So,
yeah.
Joe, it's been a pleasure always to have you on the Robin Pod. Great insight, great opinion. Huddersfield up next on Saturday. Of course, if you're going, live, love, laugh and be happy.
Singing a song when the red, red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing. When the red, red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing. When the red, red robin comes bob, bob, bobbing along.
The Robin Pod is powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre. Make them your first and only choice for a vast array of vehicle services. They are reputable East Hull-based car specialists and dedicated to providing quality services at reasonable prices. And don't forget, They are trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. Find them at 146 Leeds Road and ask them about the exclusive discount they offer Hull KR Rovers Forever members.